Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League Show. You with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel, Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, is the Premier League done? That's it. It's done and done. It's done and done, isn't it, Liverpool?
Everything's done.
Done.
The bottom three are over. The Championship, the Liverpool have won the league.
Yeah.
And it's just who's going to finish top four. Bottom's done, top's done. But this is the time I like.
What's that? Why is this the time you like? It's all done.
I think I like. And then it's the time to get with teams' motivation, players that. Teams that you think, well, they know their fate. Teams that think now all of a sudden I've got a chance to make the top four. I don't worry about anyone watching my PNL. This is where I come good. I'm like a thoroughbred racehorse coming down the rails right at the end. Jockey just easing up and then comes down that rails. So I'm looking forward to the next part of the season because I think that Liverpool will get turned over at big prices because then their levels will drop. Teams at the bottom will continue to get beat, and teams in the middle of the table who have got aspirations to European football will overperform. So I quite like this time of year. I love it that it's done.
Brilliant. Love it. Always plenty of angles, always different ways, intangibles that are not necessarily baked into the stats. Speaking of winners, though, Jack, hats off to your good self for last week because you were firing them on all cylinders, including the hot dog with Beto cashing in, your 2U going in again. So well done to you, my friend.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good week. Close to that same game parlay as well, weren't we? Omar Mamouche just offside and then screwed one across the face of goal. But yeah, we'll take that. A nice little bit of profit. So we'll look to kick it on this midweek slate.
Let's hope so. Boys, P&L on the screen. We are inching a little bit closer towards level, courtesy of Jack's performance last week. I mean, you did do better than European boys last week. You had a complete nightmare. But, you got to back the leans as well here. That's what we always keep saying. We're giving you lots of different angles here. So got to read between the lines. You've got to bet the winners, not the losers.
That's why we pay him the big money. What a genius comment. That's why Dan Roebuck is our man. You've got to bet the winners, not the losers. That's what you're coming for. That's the kind of content you're coming in for, folks.
Listen, all the winners are there. We don't hide anything. They're all on screen. All the winners are there. What you got to do is find them.
Wise words on a Monday after the Premier League weekend from Dan Roebuck.
It's a midweek slate in the Premier League. We've got games coming up on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to kick off with the Tuesday games. And Brighton against Bournemouth first up, which is Tuesday, 2:30 Eastern. Brighton are plus 112, Bournemouth are plus 215 here. We've got Jack's 2-unit play. Now, this is a really interesting one to kick it off with for me because Brighton suddenly, Jack, are they trustable as favourites off the back of a win over the worst team in the division? And Bournemouth, suddenly massive outsiders off the back of a shock loss when they were down to 10 men. I mean, this is significant recency bias from the traders, isn't it? What you got for us here? Because you got 2-unit play.
Yeah, well, to keep the razor-sharp analysis going, I have no idea who wins this game, to be perfectly honest. But I don't really care. Wow. I've gone over 3 goal lines.
What an opening! We bet the winners, we don't bet the losers. We don't know who wins the game. And he's got a 2U pick on it. Oh,
yeah.
What is going on
I
here?
tossed a coin.
I should have stayed in New York.
He thinks he's dreaming. He's hallucinating. No, I'm going with the over 3 Asian total goal line here. That is where my play is. So I say this is minus 105. My 2-unit play going in on the first game of the slate again. Because I think stylistically this is a really good matchup between two sides that like to get on the front foot, like to play attractive attacking football, won't want to take a backward step. They're both also very good in transition. They're both very good at counter-attacks. Whoever performs best in that respect on this night will win the game. But I think it will just mean there's lots of chances at both ends. When you're backing goals, you generally want 3 things really to be the case. Is the fact that you want strikers that are in good form, that you want defences that can be a little bit creaky and concede a few goals, and you also want both sides to come to the party. And I think all those boxes are ticked in this particular one. We saw Brighton score 4 goals at the weekend. Could have been double that, really, couldn't it, against Southampton? Aaron Ramsdale was arguably man of the match there. After I lost count of the amount of one-on-one saves that he made. Post was hit a few times as well. But their 3 main forwards scored. João Pedro, Matoma and Ruter all scored. Mentel looked sharp as well as part of that attack. Drawn a line through that Bournemouth game. Red card after 30 minutes kind of killed it for them to a certain degree. Although they still kept trying to go forward. They didn't really change their style of play too much. Shows you what they're all about. But obviously it's a lot harder then to cause problems when you're down to 10 men against Wolves side that kind of sat in and saw that one out. So yeah, draw a line for it. They've also got a very good home defensive record. Only conceded 10 goals at home, Bournemouth, which is joint best in the league. Away from home, they conceded double that, conceded 20. So obviously on the road here, and I'm looking to take advantage of that fact. You look at their last 8 road trips, they've conceded, or the games have had an average of 4.25 goals per game. And this bet has cashed in 6 of those, including the last 4. The other 2 were pushes, so undefeated across the last 8 road trips for Bournemouth. And you look at Brighton, 2 wins and 2 pushes from their last 4 across all venues and competitions. But they've been left to do all the hard work themselves the last couple of games against Southampton and that really poor Chelsea side that we saw a week or so ago. So for me, I think their defence can get tested here. The last time we saw them get tested was against Nottingham Forest, and they shipped 7. So there are vulnerabilities there, and I think Bournemouth have got the tools to actually cause lots and lots of problems. 3 goals in the reverse, 4 goals in this fixture last season. Over 3 goal line for me at -105.
Nicely done, over 3 Asian goal line for Brighton, Bournemouth. I'm going to be back in Bournemouth here, Nigel. I mean, plus 215 for a side that we were thinking might get top 4. What's your take on it? What do you like?
Well, I think Brighton obviously now are on a bit of form. 3 successive wins, scored 9 goals in that period as well. I think they got a complete telling off by their owner, Tony Bloom, in that 7-0 performance against Nottingham Forest, and they've been given a kick up the backside, and they've come out with some great performances in the last 3 matches. I mean, they really have. And the results at the weekend now have got all these sort of teams down to Brighton in 9th, to Man City in 4th, and Nottingham Forest. The Champions League race for those 4 places is really hotting up. We said at the start of the show that is where you want to be concentrating on here. And Brighton are a side that, they're in 9th position on 40 points. Bournemouth are in 6th on 43. But Man City are in that 4th place on 44. So a win here for either side it's really going to be shaking them up into the top sort of 4 positions and into the conversation. The only slag for both of these sides is that they're involved in the FA Cup at the weekend. A lot of sides who aren't involved in the FA Cup have a week off. So you've got to look, both of these will have aspirations of winning the tournament, because it's winnable, this FA Cup this year. It really is winnable for one of these kind of sides. You've got Man City, you've got Manchester United, who aren't playing well as the top 2 favourites. So this is a winnable competition. But Brighton obviously go to Newcastle, and Bournemouth play Wolves again, who they beat at the weekend. So that is a worry for me in terms of whether they go all out. But I think it's a match now that's opened up these top 4. We saw in the match where I went with the Bournemouth over 3 at the weekend that failed to cash, because I think that the sending off changed that game completely. I was watching that game; it was a big change. I actually have a lean towards Brighton, only a small lean. Bournemouth are unbeaten in 8 on the road. We know that. But I just think the way that Brighton are playing at the moment, the swagger they've got and the goals they've got in their disposal edges it for me. I can see where Jack is going with the over 3 goals. If you look at this match, you would just say, yes, goals. But the fact that I got my fingers burnt last week on the weekend in that game with Bournemouth and Wolves, that I couldn't have a bet on this match. But a lean for me would be Brighton at plus 112. Massive match. And I think if Brighton win this, they are right in the conversation in top 4 in the Champions League race. I know a very good guy, shrewd guy, who went to the Arsenal match with a few weeks ago. I can't remember the match I went to, but I was at Arsenal game. This guy was a very, very, very shrewd bettor, and he actually bet Brighton to finish in the Champions League at a massive price, and that was back then. And he's renowned as one of the best football bettors in the country, and that was a good move. So yeah, that's an interesting stat in itself. So I think Brighton here, for me, will come good, and I expect them to probably edge it. Going against you, Dan, which is a form of that. When you're back on the ropes and you're struggling, doing that does usually work.
I thought you were talking about me about the Arsenal game. I was.
No, Simon Holden I was talking about. Simon Holden.
Let's get to Mr. Seeley's 2-unit play of the week, shall we? This is Wolves versus Fulham. Again, it's Tuesday, 2:30 Eastern. Wolves plus 180. They've been nibbled at a little bit here. Fulham plus 150. And again, we talk about recency bias, I think, in that first game. This one, there doesn't appear to be any, because Wolves are still outsiders. Fulham are still favourites. Wolves, of course, did win at the weekend. Slightly skewed because of that sending off, as we know. But if we dial it back to that really good 45 minutes against Liverpool at Anfield, they were excellent. But then I looked at Fulham and I thought, well, look, they have taken points off some of the teams in the top 4 at the minute. When they played away from home, they are a good side here. So I was undecided, but Nigel, you've gone with your 2U here.
I could have gone with my 2U and my hot dog in this match, and my 1U play. Listen, bro, this is probably my.
That's what Steve Wiss does. That's a Steve. Isn't
Well,
it?
This is one of my most confident matches of the thing. I want to get with Wolves here to beat Fulham. I think plus 180 is the wrong price. I think they should be marginal favourites. I think it's a.
They've been back. They were plus 195.
Yeah, I think it should be. They should be 150 and Fulham be plus 180. I mean, we said at the weekend that if Wolves were playing any other team away, other than Bournemouth, we would be betting them on the back of that second half performance against Liverpool. Well, as you say, the winners are in the show, but none of us bet them. So that was a real good performance. And you mentioned the win there, but we also gave them as a hot dog when they were at home, or a hot dog at home to Aston Villa, and they beat Aston Villa very comfortably 2-0. They are a side that I felt that could go on a decent run and could actually really show their class. They're a quality team with a quality player in Kuna. I mean, Kuna could have been my anytime goal scorer here at plus 240 as my hot dog. He was very close to being that, but I've gone for something else. I thought I can't put everything into this match. The one you play could have been Wolves at plus 180, but instead I've gone for Wolves draw no better, even money. I cannot see that not being a minus money shot at the end by the time this match kicks off. Also, we've got to remember that when Wolves were really struggling, they went down to Craven Cottage and battered them 4-1. That was only a couple of months ago. That was their best performance of the season, and that was a good Fulham side who are in a good bit of form there, and they got turned over comfortably by Wolves. I think Wolves will be much more physical than them. I think they can outdo them in muscle power. If you look at Palace at Fulham at the weekend, they lost 2-0 at home to Palace. And I was in a bar where all the matches were on Saturday. And while I was watching that game, they were really disappointed. Again, Palace outfought them, outmuscled them. And I think they'll get the same kind of thing here. If you look at this match here, I just think that the Wolves is just the wrong price for me. So I'm going for Wolves draw no bet. The other thing you've got to remember as well is Wolves have a very, very, very good record against Fulham. You've got to go, they've won, they haven't lost in the last 18 matches at Molineux. And even though I've been back in the country for 1 hour, I still even know what was number one. And the last time they lost was in April 1985 was the last time they lost.
Ooh. Madness?
No.
Bonnie Tyler. Tyler.
We are the world.
Richard Marx.
We are the world. We are the world was number one.
We are the children.
We are
USA,
the children.
Yeah.
We are the ones that make a better day.
Was
so
that
let's
USA
start
for
giving.
Africa?
Yes, and that's the motto of this show today. We are the ones that make a better day. So let's them bookies start giving. And they're giving a bit of value here at even money. Wolves draw no bet. Also, quick before I wrap up this, doubts for Fulham for Smith Rowe. Why not playing this match? And Kearney as well. Those two out, then Wolves go big favourites. So Wolves here, draw no bet, even money. Best bet on the card for me, 2 you play.
You've already mentioned one player that Jack likes just as a lean, Jack.
Yeah, that bet that Nigel mentioned there, Cunha to score, plus 265, I think is a great price. He is Wolves' talisman right now, and he's loving every single minute of it, hasn't he? Signed that new contract, and I think he's absolutely one of those guys that will puff his chest out and say, look, you can rely on me. I'm going to keep this club safe and kind of get that bit of hero status, which he's, well, probably already there.
Bonnie
to be
Tyler,
fair, isn't he?
holding out for it. Oh, no.
Exactly. Could be that one. Yeah, total eclipse of the heart. But yeah, I think, as I say, he's in absolutely great form. So everything that Wolves do is good at the moment. It's coming through Cunha, be it dropping deeper and linking play up or scoring the goals. Scored the winner on Saturday. It's his 4th game in succession now. He's scored in 7 of his last 10 matches. One of those that he didn't score, he got a half time, or he got pulled off at half time because he was injured against Spurs. 13 goals for the season is a great return for in a side that is struggling, and he did score in that 4-1 reverse. In fact, he scored twice in that 4-1 reverse fixture, and he only played against Fulham once last season and scored in that as well. So it looks a massive price for this, where I say Wolves will fancy their chances.
Just a
This would have been my
dog.
my strongest hot dog, and it's even stronger than the hot dog I gave Cunha because I couldn't put 2 bets.
Do you want to change it? You can change it.
I don't. The rules are you're not supposed to put 2 in the same.
You don't
team,
have to have 2. You can change it. You don't have to have the other one.
Steve Wish breaks rules every
We've
week.
not got to it.
Has Wish been breaking rules after Worthy after Paul Rankin?
Yeah.
Has he been breaking rules?
I
think the thing is, when you're in such a bad run as I am at the moment and losing so much money, you don't want to go all in. We'll wait to go all in on one game towards the end of the season, try to smash our way out. But at the moment,
watch out for that 12-game parlay over the course of the last 5 weeks.
Cunha, anytime goal score plus 240 is a good price though.
And remember, the winners are out there.
The winners are out. They're all there.
Out there.
Don't worry about that. What have we got next? Palace against Villa. Now this is Nigel's 1-unit play here. We've got Palace at plus 160. Villa have been nibbled at plus 175. This is Tuesday, 2:30. Palace have won 6 of their last 8 in all competitions here. Villa with that late win over Chelsea, which did cash for Nigel off the back of that
Don't
Liverpool
sound so
draw.
shocked. He sounds
Hang on a minute.
shocked.
Listen.
Checks notes. I did cash. Yeah,
He
he's got a winner.
sounds shocked.
You've just said to me, I'm in a little bit of bad form. I thought I'd G you up and, put some
No,
positives.
you were rubbing it
on
in
there.
even more by that comment. It went totally opposite.
Hey, listen, if I let people into what the conversation we had before we went on air last Thursday about this bet, shall I let people in on that?
I asked you.
Yeah, you did. And what did I say?
You told me Villa draw no bet.
Yeah. What are you going for this week?
Well, I didn't ask you this week. Anyway, I'm going to stick with the same thing. I'm sticking with the same thing. I'm going with Villa draw no bet again.
Riding
here.
the hot hand.
The Midlands has been good to me this season. Wolves have been probably the only team that made me profitable. And Villa have been pretty good for me as well. And I'm going to go for Villa draw no bet again here. I know Palace have just come on the back of a win, a 2-0 win against Fulham, which they were very, very good in. But I like what I see at Villa at the moment. Again, you're talking about teams now who like Brighton have got to suddenly think, hang on a minute, we've got a chance here. I think the Champions League draw, they've got a great chance to get through the quarterfinals. And I think until them Champions draw starts again, they play Bruges, I think they are a side to follow. I think they can really go on some run. They can get some points in the bag, and they could challenge the top 4. They are 8 from 42, 2 points off City. And you know what they're like when they're on a run. You know what the manager's like. He gets them going, and I think they'll win this match. Again, I think it's the wrong favourite. I think Villa deserve to be the favourite. Asensio is quality. Rashford looks a totally different player. Looks hungry for the ball. And adding into the mix, Watkins and the goals they get from midfield. Marlon as well. Great signings. Got players off the bench that can turn it around. And I think Villa here will get the job done on the draw no bet. Great comeback win against Chelsea. It's 1-0 down to come back. Shows a lot of character. A lot of belief, and I believe this Villa have got a little bit of oomph about them now. They've got a bit of extra stride in their step, and I think that they can do on a bit of a run and push to those top 4 positions as well. It's wide open in them positions, and these Fulham's, Villa's, Brightons have really, really got a chance to capitalise. The other thing I would say, and I think this is a big factor, the FA Cup at the weekend. A lot of people might turn around and say, people won't really prioritise the FA Cup, but Crystal Palace, a South London side. I know a load of I live 5 miles from Crystal Palace. I know a lot of Crystal Palace fans. They are rubbing their hands to play Millwall at home. It is the biggest game for Crystal Palace.
One to avoid.
Well, while they've still got the hands.
Yeah, it's a game that is absolutely massive in this area. South East London, Crystal Palace against Millwall in the FA Cup, and that is going to be on the fans, players' minds. And I think that's a hindrance for them. Aston Villa have got a home tie against Cardiff, which you would expect Villa to be able to put everybody out here, rest 6 or 7 players. But I expect the Palace Millwall game, that a lot of the personnel will be playing in this match will be playing in that, because Palace cannot afford to lose against Millwall at the weekend. So there is a couple of injury doubts for Villa. Mings is out and Rodgers is a doubt as well. But I still think they've got enough going forward. Palace, we know, are strong defensively, but they don't really get involved in high-scoring games. They have to be very strong. Mateta's a strong player up front and ruffle a few feathers. But I do think the way that Villa are playing at the moment, and the fact that they can really go at the Premier League and the FA Cup run before they get into the Champions League. I think this is a 3 points that Villa will get. So I'm going to go for Villa again on the draw no bet. Safety with the push if it's a draw. Villa 1 unit play -108 on the draw no bet when they travel to Selhurst Park to take on Crystal Palace.
Jack, you played the unders as a lean in the Palace game at the weekend. You got that one right. You're going unders again here for this one.
Overs.
Oh, no, you're going overs.
Yeah,
The winners are out there. The winners are out there.
For me, this is either over
this is-
or under
yeah.
2.5 goals. So take your pick. You'll find a winner. But no, I have gone
I'll
overs.
go unders, you go overs. I go overs.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine, yeah. Because to be fair, the difference between Palace's defensive record home and away is like night and day. It is completely different. And also to back up Nigel's bet there, they've only lost 2 of the last 11 at home of Palace, but both of those they've only lost 2 of the last 11, but both of those have come at home. So they've only the bottom 4 have got a worse home record than Palace so far this season, and they used to be so traditionally they've been very strong at home, but it's flipped this season and they've been better on the road. 6 clean sheets on the road in a row, no clean sheet in 8 at home. and conceded 16 across those 8 games as well, with over 2.5 goals cashed in 5 of the last 6. So, and you were right, Villa look a real threat going forward. Rashford and Asensio on the bench the weekend. I say, when we're looking at these games coming so close together, quick succession, these sides with the bigger squads and the threats in forward areas that they can rotate, and Nigel's listed 5 or 6 really strong threats for goal scoring for Villa, they'll come to fruition. So as far as the goals are concerned, I say it's 2-2 in the reverse fixture. They also played in the League Cup in October. That was 2-1. And then Palace won this 5-0 last season, but it was the last game of the season, and I think Villa were ready for the beach then. So, not too much to be read into that one, but overs has cashed in the last 4 meetings and 8 of the last 10. So I do fancy goals in this one. And over 2.5 is the play, the lean.
Overs, not unders.
Overs for me. Unders for you.
Against Villa. Unders for now. I think it'd be Chelsea, Southampton. This is the late game on the Tuesday, 3:15 Eastern. We've got leans on this, so let's rattle through them. Nigel, what you got first? I mean, Chelsea need a win here, don't they? But they are very short.
Oh, yeah, I mean, -$5. I mean, you couldn't bet Chelsea at -$5, but saying that, they're up against the worst team in the division who look like they're getting worse since the start of the season. They were quite competitive at the start. Now they're not competitive at all. They've lost 8 of their last 9 matches. Chelsea just totally out of form. Got a couple of injuries. They haven't looked the same since Jackson's been out, actually. I think, since he's gone. No, they're a star-studded squad, and I don't think Palmer thrives on Jackson being up there with him, and I think he looks lost without his partner. Then Maduki's out. Maduki's out as well. So, where do we start here? I mean, the handicap on Chelsea's -2.
Do they cover the handicap or not? That's the deal, isn't it?
All right. I was just about to come on to that. So where do we
I'm
start
trying to
here?
move everyone on this section.
Well,
We're already behind because you...
-2 is the handicap. -13. Would I be betting Chelsea or be Southampton? I don't know. This is the truth. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I would probably go for both teams to score, yes, if you push me, at plus money.
Like that. Jack, what have you got?
Yeah, you need 5 goals for the goal line here. That's set high as well, isn't it, for a full win anyway. And they say you need Chelsea to win by 3 or more, and they possibly can. But Nigel's right with Jack said he stretches the space that Palmer enjoys playing, and he's not getting that at this moment. I've gone with Enzo Fernandez to score as my lean, plus 340, another big price. Not a knee-jerk reaction to the fact he scored against Villa at the weekend, but a reaction to the fact that he played in a totally different position. Played as a number 10, played as the attacker midfielder. They brought Reece James into that defensive midfield position alongside Caicedo, and allowed him to burst forward and get in around the box. And we saw how many times Brighton burst forward against Southampton, that there is a great chance that could happen here. He had 4 shots, 2 on target against Villa, as he scored in that game as well. So I'm going to take him at a big price. If he's playing in that same position, then that looks like an outstanding. You should see goals in this game. So plus 340 in an advanced position is a good price.
Just a lean. Very quickly, you did change your mind on this one, didn't you, Jack? What was the initial lean?
Yeah, it's because I was struggling so hard.
Just so people can bet that one. Go on.
Yeah, just struggled so hard. It was over 3.5 Southampton corners. Chelsea concede fairly regularly that number, and Southampton have hit it in like half their most recent away games. So, it was a struggle finding a play given the what we're then talking about. But, Enzo stood out in the end, having watched the game back and seeing his new position.
Unofficial same game parlay. Both teams to score from Nigel. Over 3.5 Southampton corners from Jack. Enzo, anytime goal scorer. I don't know what that rolls up to be, 10-1 or something. Spurs versus Manchester City on Wednesday is a 2:30 kickoff Eastern. Spurs are plus 255 now. They have been bet. Manchester City minus 113. Their odds on here, Nigel, Man City minus money. Spurs have already beaten City twice this season, but at much bigger price as well. One of them was at least, the other was in the League Cup. How do we tackle this? You've got your hot dog in this one.
Well, I mean, not only have they beaten them twice this season, they've beaten them 5 of the last 6 in the Premier League in this fixture. And this is when Man City were good. And I think Man City looked gone, didn't they? They were outclassed by Liverpool. They know it's a total rebuild for next season, and I still think, if you read the reports, there is imminent now this points threat that's going to come out, and some parties are saying they're definitely going to get a threat. I mean, some some journalist, I think it was an Australian journalist for some reason, said that he's heard they're definitely going to get a points deduction, and Man City adamant that they're not, and the Man City hierarchy want to take the FA on in court and various different things, and that's not good for footballing purposes. That's not good for them. And then, but I just think at 255, I know it's Tottenham, but we've got to take them at this price because they are the kind of side that will win this game by 3, and then following week, as they have done already, lose at home to Ipswich or get beat 2-1 by Southampton. It's the way they are. Their players are coming back. Maddison is back now. Timo Werner should be back for this match. I mean, that's not probably a massive positive, but Timo Werner is back here.
Is there a shot off target, Mark?
Well, Man City, just the amount of goals they're conceding and the way they're giving up goals throughout this season. And we've spoken about them in length so many times here. But I just feel that people just think Man City will hit a bit of form, but we can't read them. Every time we've gone against them in these kind of matches, they put in a performance like they did against Newcastle. But I think the other factor is Haaland. You know, if Haaland doesn't play, we saw the line movement on that Liverpool game. By the way, I was the only one who said Liverpool win, by the way, with the draw and all that. So at least I've got to take some kind of sense credit. But, when Haaland was announced that he wasn't playing, the price on Liverpool shortened massively and Manchester City went out to a big price. So Haaland is still a huge market mover. I mean, it's minus 113 now. If Haaland plays, Man City will probably be minus 120.25, minus 128. But if Haaland doesn't play, I reckon Man City could probably be even money. So that's the crucial part of this conundrum. But I just do feel that with or without Haaland, Tottenham will fancy this. Probably the best performance of the season last time out, admittedly against Ipswich, but they were brilliant, dominant. Johnson was great in that match, scored 2 goals and was a constant threat. They'll relish the opportunity of taking Man City on. And I think the way that Postecoglou plays, the high press and, in your face, that play was big high line. I think that's a perfect opposition for Manchester City at the moment. So my dog here is another familiar thing. We can't really read it, but at plus 255, I've got to take Tottenham to beat Man City. Man City fade continues. Great record in recent Premier League matches. 2 wins already this season. Man City know the game's up. 20 points adrift now from Liverpool. Really, really poor performance at the weekend. Their main man out. I would go with Tottenham plus 255.
A similar theme for you, Jack, really. A more cautious approach, though.
Yeah, because it's a lean. I've gone for Spurs all the time. Double chance at minus 110. 3 league wins on the spin for Spurs. I think having those players back has obviously picked them up. The fact they had a less packed schedule over the last week, 10 days, has seen them come out noticeably fresher against Ipswich. And City hardly laid a glove on Liverpool, did they? They were so slow and just ponderous. And there was one moment when they kind of broke out of their own box and I thought the referee had blown for a free kick. They were walking with it. And I was expecting them to knock the ball back for a free kick, but they played on. It wasn't an offence at all. They were just really, really slow. And I think Spurs, as Nigel said, they are going to be aggressive. They're going to be high pressed. The fans are going to be a bit buoyant because of the fact they've won 3 on the spin now and seeing some of their better players back. 2 goals for Johnson, as we said. Son had one of his best games of the season. Twisted and turning Ben Godfrey inside out and laid on a couple of goals as well. Kulusevski, probably the most consistent performer on the score sheet as well. But importantly, defensively, Vicario back, Udogie back as well in that one. And for the first time in a long time, options off the bench, as we talked about. Maddison, Porro, Odobert, all on the bench ready to come on and influence the game. So only 3 wins in 15 away games across all competitions for City is stark. And those wins come against Leicester, against Ipswich, and against Leyton Orient. So it says a lot there. And I think Spurs won in that League Cup and 4-0 in the reverse fixture when Man City were only at the start of that decline. So I think Spurs all tie, double chance, a big price at minus 110.
Only won 9 games in the last 26, Man City. It's incredible, isn't it, how much they've fallen. Let's get some quick fire leans on the other 2:30 games on Wednesday. Brentford, Everton first up. Nigel here. Brentford got a great record against the bottom 8, home and away. Everton, though, are flying, joint top of the 6-match form tables. Which way do we dance here? Brentford evens, Everton round about plus 250, 260.
Brentford, the Road Kings. Who would have thought that? They are the Road Kings. They're doing their best form on the road now, unbeaten in 5. They haven't won in 6 at home, but unbeaten in 5. Goal threat galore on this Brentford side. I think this will be a real good watch, actually. I fancy a few goals. I think Everton will go to the way that Moyes is playing. This is a very, very different, entertaining Everton side against the Brentford side. We know exactly what to expect from the first whistle. Loads of intensity, loads of action from the first. I think there'll be an early goal in this. Brentford game's always early goals. Everton will be right at it. I've got to go for Brentford, though, at even money. I think Brentford would be my lean here. Moyes has won all his matches on the road since his return. It's the home where he lost the 2 matches. But I do think the way that Moyes plays, I do think that this Everton side, especially in the second half against Manchester United, looked a bit leg weary. And I think Brentford might capitalise on that. So my lean would be for Brentford at even money.
Yeah, evens at the moment. Well, plus, there were plus money. I think they're evens now. Jack, you're on the same train, really.
Yep, same bet, same lean. Brentford to win, plus 102 when I looked last night. So, both these sides have been quite good to me over recent weeks, but I am siding with Brentford here. That home form was a worry, but when you look into it, they've in the league, they've no win in 5, and 4 of those came against the top 4. So you've got excuses there, I guess. And the other one was against Spurs, who we now talked about can beat anyone on the day. But that triple threat up front is really, really strong for me. And I think also they took their foot completely off the gas against Leicester, 3-0 up at half time, went on to win it 4-0. But I think they've left something in the tank for this one. Whereas Everton, of course, had to kind of be disappointed for the fact they threw those points away against Manchester United and had to keep going right to the end. We talked about that triple threat up front, but they've also got a guy behind them pulling the strings in Mikael Damsgaard, who's showing probably the best form since he burst onto the scene in the Euros in 2021, wasn't it? Euro 2020. But I think they've got enough here, firepower, to outscore and outfight Everton and get back to winning ways at home, where, let's face it, at the start of the season, they were unstoppable. So, yeah, plus money I think is decent.
Forest Arsenal next. Forest 3-1 here, plus 300. Arsenal minus 106. The mini. Jack, you can go first on this one. Give us your lean here. I mean, Arsenal top 10 against the top 10 away from home. Just the one win, but the minus money favourites here off the back of that hugely disappointing defeat against West Ham. They haven't got a striker still. Are we betting them or are we fading?
Oh, fading them, yeah. Plus 0.5 Asian handicap, so it's the same as the double chance, but slightly better price on the Asian handicap this time round. Unravel for Forest in that first half against Newcastle. It started so well, taking the lead, but then 4-1 down at half time. What they will take heart from is that they did bounce back from that immediately, won the second half, if you want to call it that, but kept going to the end. And one thing they did prove is they've got goal threat throughout the side, and they are scoring plenty of goals, which is something that Arsenal can't cope with. We mentioned it on the show last week that Arsenal, to win, they need to keep a clean sheet. They also need to keep 11 men on the field, 10 men, again, another sending off. This one won't be rescinded, I don't think. I think of their forwards, only Trossard was the one that had one attempt at goal. The other chances seem to fall defenders from set pieces. They can't keep relying on that. And you look at Forest's home form, won 7 of the last 9 at home, losing just once and only lost twice across all 14 home games across all competitions, which is what we need here for this to hit. And we said Arsenal failed to win 6 of 13 road games in the league, and Villa are 8 for the highest ranked side at this moment in time that they've only beaten. So they failed to beat City, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Chelsea, all those top ranking sides. So Nottingham Forest on the plus handicap for me.
Are you fading Arsenal, Nigel? Do you think that there'll be a little bit of doom and gloom in the camp after the weekend?
100% big fade. 3-1 Nottingham Forest was very close to being the hot dog. +1, plus 0.75. Any way you want to get with it, you want to fade Arsenal. I mean, that sums it up, doesn't it? Trossard is like, I mean, he's not a Premier League top. I mean, you look at Liverpool side. Where would Trossard feature in the Liverpool side? Where would he feature in a Man City team? I know is this Man City struggling team? I mean, that's Raheem Sterling. You're relying on these players, and it's just been the same old for Arsenal, dropping points against matches that they should have won, and ill discipline costing them. It's a sad state of affairs. But the one thing I do know is that when Arsenal go, they totally go. And the season before last, I think it was, they lost at home to Brighton 3-0 and lost the title. That was it. They pushed Man City all the way, and then they went to Forest the following week and got beat 1-0. And that was a team that Forest was struggling at the bottom of the table. Forest have just got, the difference between these sides is the goal threat. And who would have thought that Nottingham Forest have a much bigger goal threat than Arsenal? Forest have scored at least 2 goals in 7 of their last 10 matches. And, the Arsenal have failed to score in 2 of their last 3. And the 2 goals they did score, they were against Leicester, where they got quite lucky, really. It looked like it was going to be a 0-0 draw and got late on. it's all about goal scorers. I'm going to say something very similar to you. Look for the winners. They're here on this show. Avoid the losers. Football's about putting the ball in the back of the net, and one team can put the ball in the back of the net, and there's another team that cannot put the ball in the back of the net. So I just think here that this is a big price for Forest here. And I know, even though they lost 4-3 against Newcastle, it was a wild match. They played really well the second half, really well, and they probably could have nicked it. There was I think a debate about penalty at the end. They had a clear header by the centre half. They could have nicked it, and that showed character. You're 4-1 down, and then you come back, and you could have quite easy. If that was an Arsenal team 4-1 down, they wouldn't have shown any character. But this Tottenham Forest side have got a bit about them, and I just think Arsenal could be absolutely deflated. Really are. I mean, it's
just very quickly before we move on to the next one. If you were pricing up Liverpool Arsenal in a match bet for next season, you price Liverpool favourites each or two, Nigel?
What, this current version?
But I'm saying, players are going to come back.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, at this moment in time, Liverpool are leaps and bounds above Arsenal.
But all the players back,
even when the players come back, I think there's a stigma around Arsenal now that they're a side that just.
How would you price it up
now?
Look, say everyone's fit and they've got
this current squad, I'd be 4 to 6 Liverpool to finish above Arsenal, about -150 and about +110 Liverpool. But if Arsenal go out and spends £100 million on a striker, and Arsenal get rid of a lot of their old rubbish in that squad, Sterling goes. I mean, I still don't understand. I've said it on this show so many times. I don't understand why they never even tried to get Rashford. I think that's a ridiculous decision. You've got an England international, 20 goal scorer. You would have been absolutely perfect with Martinelli out, but he didn't. And it's all stumbling block is about money. And that's always been Arsenal's problem. They can't, their aspirations to win title. You've got to spend a few quid to get to the top. And although they have, but they bought some bad players and they've been crying out for a striker for 3 years. They buy Isaac, they buy another creative striker up front, someone to back up, then Arsenal become favourites in that match. But this current version, and you got to remember, Liverpool could lose Salah, lose Van Dijk. It could all change, but they're leaps and bounds away from Liverpool at the moment.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was stunned when I saw Sterling take that free kick towards the end, and it was like you expected that to happen. He just dribbled it into the wall, didn't he? It was pathetic, really. But the key thing for me in that match bet would be the big one at the moment is obviously Salah. If how do you replace him at this moment in time? He's going from strength to strength, isn't he?
Not with Trossard.
I don't think that's a like-for-like replacement. No.
We'll get on to Salah shortly. Manchester United Ipswich. Give us a line on this one, Nigel. United. I mean, they're -205 for Ipswich, +525. This was Amarin's first game in charge. The reverse fixture, that 1-1 draw. I mean, if you bet United every single game since then, you're down. You're doing your money. I mean, we can't trust United at minus money. We've said that, but this is Ipswich who had that sort of mini revival, and now they've dipped a little bit. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a difficult one to trust. You can't trust Man United at -205, but Ipswich at +525 does look a little bit short because they haven't won a match in 2025. I mean, they've been absolutely diabolical, and then those three at the bottom have gone. But it is a big match for the manager, obviously going back to the club that he made his trade. He was the assistant manager here and involved in not the youth team manager or whatever he was. He was involved in the back end.
Across all different grades. I think he was assistant.
So I think it's a big match for him. Looking for an angle to bet on it. I mean, I told you last week I'm down to the final 5 now of my last man standing, which is a very, very big prize. Big prize. It's a big one. And I've had to go with Man United in this match, but again, it's an uneasy. It's a very, very, very uneasy because I haven't got many.
That says something that you've still got United left at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I mean, everyone went out on Arsenal at the weekend, so me going with Brighton. There's only 5 of us now, so I've had to go with Manchester United here, but I'm worried about it, to be honest with you. I certainly wouldn't bet them at -205. I watched the game at the weekend again. Manchester United just off. We talk about Arsenal struggling for goals. Manchester United offer a terrible threat from their 2 strikers. They're not good enough at this level, but they still managed to score 2 goals. And their talisman for years and years and years, and again this season has been Bruno Fernandes, and he gets them over the line, and takes penalties, takes free kicks. He's a bit like Dennis Waterman. He sings the theme tune. He does the theme tune. Not many people in America will know Dennis Waterman, but if you he could be so good for you if you know him. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to go for Bruno Fernandes to score at any time at +175. That would be my bet.
Jack, what you got in this one? Quickly.
I don't mind her about that. I think I've gone for both teams to score yes in this one, which is only a lean because I couldn't put it official because I don't really trust either of these two attacks, which is kind of quite crucial when you're doing both teams to score yes. But the defences are just so ropey. And you look at Man United's home form, terrible, lost 5 of the last 6 at home, conceding 2+ in all of those defeats as well. And I think Ipswich, obviously, it's going to be a big night out for them. They're going to Old Trafford. The support's going to be there in as bigger numbers as they can cobble together. And we'll make a decent show of it. And so I think sides go to Old Trafford now, probably expecting to get something rather than over the years gone by. It was like a bit of trepidation. That's not there anymore. Nigel mentioned those 2 strikers for United and absolutely been terrible this season. But I think we're talking about levels here. And joking aside, Ipswich are essentially a championship side, a packed it full of championship players from coming up. And you'd expect those 2 to score goals at championship level. So they're against the championship defence. You'd expect them to be able to get on the score sheet here. But Ipswich have got threats going forward. So I will take both teams to score as a lean at -129.
Let's get to the big game on Wednesday, shall we? Here, this is Liverpool versus Newcastle, 3:15 Eastern. Liverpool are -205, same price as United are to beat Ipswich. Obviously, Liverpool playing Newcastle here. Which one would you rather bet? Newcastle +480, the draw +380. Obviously, the title's heading to Anfield here. Liverpool unbeaten in Newcastle at home against Newcastle at home for a long, long time. We've got Nigel's same game parlay, and we have got Jack Wright's hot dog here. Now, Nigel's SGP does sort of nearly contain Jack's hot dog. So we're going to take Jack's hot dog first here to get this one done. Jack, come on, give us your hot dog.
It is for Mo Salah, not to score, but I'll leave that for other people, possibly. Mo Salah to assist at +245. He's just a class apart, isn't he? Like, you watched him against Manchester City and he controlled that game in every aspect. And you know, he's not got signed that contract yet, or he's not been offered a contract, whatever the situation is there. And you think, wow, that's just madness to be in that situation. Sometimes you see these players with the reputation and they start to have less impact, don't they? It seems to me he's getting stronger both physically and his impact on games is growing. Every time I see him, he's just ridiculous. You just expect him to be involved in every single goal, either scoring or assisting it. And obviously he's got 26 for the season, but his assists are incredible. And you go, oh, he's got a good record against this team. But you kind of say it every week. He's just got, you look at his record against every side and you go, wow, look at that. And especially in recent seasons. Look, he's going to be getting special treatment. Newcastle are going to have to try and have a plan against him. Lewis Hall's a very good, young, up-and-coming left back. A massive test for him. Obviously, he's kind of looking to get himself, keeping that England set up as well. So, but the fact he will get that special treatment does lend itself, obviously, to the assists. And the way Liverpool are set up lends him to assists. We saw it on Sunday. Took the ball, stood the defence up, waited for the runners to come in, slipped it to one side. Szoboszlai did the rest. If it's not Szoboszlai, you've got Jones filling the box. If it's not Jones, you've got McAllister, and you can go further over to the far side. And I think Gakpo might start this one, but Gakpo or Diaz, they fill that back post so well, and Salah can pick them out every single time. So an assist for me, as I said, he scored plenty of goals, but when you look at the fact that he's got 16 assists this season, it's incredible. At least 1 in 4 of his last 5 appearances as well. He's assisted in 12 of his 25 league games. Incredible numbers. And as you say, when you look at these performances against Newcastle, as far as the assists are concerned, he had an assist in both the last 2 meetings, the one earlier this season and in this fixture last season. He's now had at least 1 assist in his last 5 appearances versus Newcastle, totaling 6 assists. So for me, at plus money, 245, it's won the race to be the hot dog this week, and it's quite a competitive heat. But yeah, Salah to assist, 245.
Just to assist. Scores a hat-trick, doesn't assist. You haven't... Well, I don't know about assist market. Nigel, are you including the assist on your same game parlay or not? Give us your
no, we've gone for goal scores, isn't it?
You
are absolutely right, Dan. It's been 31 matches that Liverpool haven't lost against Newcastle. Now, that was back in 1994. April 94. And number one in 19...
Ace of base.
No.
Hang on, Oasis.
No.
Blur.
No.
Pet Shop Boys.
Number one in April 1994 was
Coward of the County, Johnny Cash.
Take that with a song called Everything Changes. Now, I'm telling you now, everything changes on my same game parlay because we haven't had a same game parlay that's cashed all season from me, and now everything changes.
We had one.
But everything changes because this is going to win.
Yeah. Never forget.
We'll never forget that one. But anyway, this is relighting my fire. I'm really going to go with this one here, and I'm going to go for over 3.5 goals in the match. Last season was the reverse feature 3-3. That brilliant match. Isaac scored that worldy goal. He ran the new Liverpool defence ragged in that match, and he might be a good bet to be any-time goal scorer. I think Liverpool can play with a bit of freedom now that they know the title's pretty much done. I can see this being a real end-to-end match. Loads of goals. Newcastle on the back of a 4-3 win as well. So over 3.5 goals, leg number one. Last season was also 4-2. Salah, for all the exact same reasons that Jack has said there, but instead of going for the assist, I'm going for the score at any time. Scores every single time he plays, and over 6.5 Liverpool corners. We know Liverpool are very, very high on the corners, in particular at home. I think they've got the 4th most corners in the Premier League this season, and in a game where I expect goals, a load of action, lots of attacking play, I'm going for that. So over 3.5 goals, Salah to score at any time, over 6.5 corners, that plays 5-1, and the omens are good with everything changes, and I'm telling you, everything is going to change this midweek. I feel confident this midweek, you know that. I told you, I'm on that racehorse coming down that Rhine. The favourite's got Jack's about 20 lengths clear, but Seeley's coming down them final furlong, and he's going to pip him on the line. I feel good about this.
Yeah, it's your time to shine. What I would say as well, we touched on it earlier as far as the FA Cup weekend. Obviously, Liverpool have got no FA Cup tie this weekend. They're out of that, so that will give them an opportunity just to go full beans against Newcastle here.
West Ham versus Leicester is the final game on the midweek slate. It's on Thursday. 3 p.m. We've saved the best till last. West Ham are -165. They've been bet. Are they max bet material here, Jack, after that win at Emirates, or are they the worst value in the world because it's West Ham at big minus money? Jack Wright's got his 1 unit play here, Jack.
Oh, you frame these so well, don't you? You frame them so well. Do you know what? Again, uncomfortably taking West Ham here. It's not a max bet, absolutely not, but I've gone 1 unit on them at a -0.75 Asian handicap, which is an uncomfortable position to be in, given it's West Ham, but I'm happy just to fade Leicester at the moment because they are absolutely terrible, and if it weren't for Southampton, they'd be the worst side we've ever seen in the Premier League. But, all 3 newly promoted sides at the weekend, all played at home, and they all conceded 4 goals. They were all terrible. And that's where we're at the moment. They're now, Ipswich are 3rd bottom and 5 points adrift, and it could be a lot more after this midweek slate.
The goal they're 12 goals. They're really essentially they're 6 points. They got 3 more games than Wolves, to overtake them. It's done, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we think Wolves are going to win this midweek and Ipswich are going to lose. So it's going to be 8 net 9, isn't it? And so they haven't got those points over the start of the season hardly. So, yeah, and so Leicester have just fallen apart, completely fallen apart. So obviously with this bet, any win of any kind does get us profit. 2 or more goal margin gets us the cash in full. Yes, only 2 wins in 6 under Graham Potter, but he still does keep showing signs, and obviously a great win at the weekend against Arsenal when they did keep them at arm's length. We've talked about Arsenal's problems, but they still had to do that. And they have got threats in those forward areas. And the interesting thing for me when I looked through that game was the team lineup for West Ham, and it felt to me like he was keeping a little bit back for this one because he's earmarked it as a 3 points, a must-win game just to keep some progress going and some momentum and a feel-good factor for West Ham. The likes of Paquetá and Soler on the bench, Ferguson on the bench as well. So firepower to come on. But they have got Bowen, who started and scored, of course, the winning goal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think, is looking fantastic in that position he's now playing. A real threat down that wide right-hand side. And Leicester just get cut through at will. They make mistakes, defensive errors. They concede goals that they shouldn't do. They're relying on Jamie Vardy at 38 to be their goal threat, and yes, he might start the game quite sharp as he did on Friday night, but then it just kind of peters out. They can't defend set pieces. They're terrible at any area ball into the box. You've got the likes of Soucek plus others for West Ham. They have got all the threats to go and absolutely cause problems. I haven't even mentioned Kudos either. So much for West Ham in those forward areas against the Leicester side that are there for the taking. They have got to go and win this one. And you look at the record under Ruud van Nistelrooy, it is horrific. Simple as that. 10 defeats in 13 games for him and 5 of the 6 on the road. Obviously, Tottenham being, as it has been for a while, the outlier in that one. Of course, his first game in charge, they did beat West Ham. That was in the former era. And I think that Graham Potter will put it right and get the win. And so I'll take the -0.75 handicap at -125, 1 unit play.
Leicester plus 440 here. Is there any sort of value there? A West Ham terrible value? Are they good value? Nigel, final words on the midweek slate. What do you like? I just think I look at West Ham at that price and I'd just rather avoid it. But it is Jack's 1 unit play on the handicap. What do you like?
Well, I think I think West Ham on the back of the performance of the weekend, everybody would be pretty betting back West Ham, and the reason why Jack said there, Leicester obviously just don't score goals. I mean, they've lost their last 4, conceded 14, and scored just the 1 goal. They're relying on a 38-year-old striker up front. I mean, it's just too much to ask at this level of football. The trouble is West Ham are inconsistent, but I do feel that they're on a turn with Potter. I think Potter's going to turn it around there. I think he's working his magic. I think he works his magic. I got a feeling that they'll be okay. I mean, their injury crisis he inherited was awful. Players are coming back. I do think they'll win, but rather tentatively, I've gone for West Ham -1 at +102 on the Asian handicap. Because when Leicester do lose, they do lose by a lot. They can see 3, 4. It's if they are going to win, I think this is the best way to get with them rather than taking the -165, because I think if West Ham win, they're going to win it big. I don't think they'll win a 1-0.
Yeah, don't leave anything on the table. I think that's a fair call. That's West Ham Leicester, which is Thursday. It wraps up the show for the week because it's FA Cup weekend, of course. So we're going to be back a week on Thursday for more Premier League previews. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. We will, of course, keep everyone updated via our Twitter feeds. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out our Instagram page as well. Plus, we have got our newsletter that's banging in the winners left, right, and centre. That's it, though. We'll be back in 10 days' time or so for more picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays. Don't forget the live show, 11 a.m. every midweek day from all of us. For now, though, it is goodbye. Good luck this midweek.